welcome once again to the video. In this one, in keeping with a recent series of videos I've been doing, or continuing a recent series of videos, I thought I would list down the winners of the Canadian Grand Prix, specifically at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, which is where this weekend's Grand Prix will be held, a 2025 Canadian Grand Prix. So I thought, let's do that. I'm going to list every winner, not go into great detail, just if I remember certain things about the races I will mention them, but the main thing is just listing down all the winners from, all 43 winners from the first Grand Prix at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which was known as the Il Notre Dame circuit back then in 1978 until 1982, when it was renamed after Gilles Villeneuve's death. Okay, so let's go. Now, first one, 1978. Now we want to make sure this is in focus straight away. This very first one was won by Gilles Villeneuve in his Ferrari. Now let's check that focus. Come on, you naughty thing. Okay, hopefully that should be in focus. Let's have a look. Okay, so hopefully that should be in focus. Right, so 1979. We have Alan Jones, the Australian, in a Williams. 1979 was the first year that Williams won their Grand Prix. The British Grand Prix was their first win. 1980, Jones again in his championship winning year, again in his Williams. 81, Jacques Lafitte, the Frenchman, in his Ligier. Yeah, was his Ligier, was that the year when he won the first two races of the year in his Ligier? Can't remember. Maybe that was 1980. Anyway, 1982. The first of Nelson Piquet's 3 wins. Piquet winning in a Brabham. So shall I put 12 on each? Yeah, why not? I think I can probably fit 12 in. So 83. René Arnoux, another Frenchman, in his Ferrari. Arnoux having replaced Didier Pironi, who had a pretty much career-ending accident in 1982, which stopped Pironi winning the championship in 82. Yeah, so Arnoux, very quick in the Ferrari, slow in later years, but very quick in the Ferrari. And he won the 83 Canadian Grand Prix. So let's go up here. I haven't got a lot of space, have I? Let's see. Oh, maybe I can fit 84 down here. Do you know what? By Jove, I think I can. So 84 was Nelson Piquet again. His second win, and this time in, was it a Brabham again? 84 would have been a Brabham, yes. 84 would have been a Brabham because it was 86 when he moved to Williams. So 85. Quite high up, but it doesn't matter. 85, Bortoleto, in his best year in Formula One, where he nearly won the championship. Well, he finished 20 points behind Prost, but he was leading at the halfway stage. So let's just check focus on that. So So yeah, that's good. Alboreto, Canadian Grand Prix winner. 1986 was Nigel Mansell's only win. Alboreto's was in a Ferrari, if I didn't say it. Mansell's was in a Williams. That was his only win at the Canadian Grand Prix. I remember that was mid-season, and he dominated the mid-season in 86, winning 4 out of 5 races. And the Canadian Grand Prix was one of those 4 wins. 87, there was not a race. I remember the Austrian Grand Prix, I think, came back in 87, replacing the Canadian Grand Prix, because I never knew the reason why. But I looked it up just before this video, and it was just a sponsorship dispute between 2 big title sponsors of the circuit. That was all it was. So 88 was a win by Senna in his McLaren, of course. 89 was Thierry Boutsen. Oh, that was the very wet one, wasn't it? In his Williams. That was I think that was the incredibly wet race. And loads of retirements, really weird stuff going on in that race. Boutsen came through from sort of nowhere to win the race. 1990 was Senna again in his Williams. Boutsen was in in his McLaren. Boutsen was in a Williams. 91, Piquet, again, his third victory. 92. Oh, that 91 one, by the way. Oh dear, that's I almost went past it without mentioning it. That's the most horrific race for me ever in Formula One. Nigel Mansell 1 minute ahead of Piquet, and on the last lap, Mansell, his car breaks down just a few corners before the end. He was waving to the crowd. Some people think that he turned his engine off as he was waving. Because apparently the car started up perfectly fine afterwards, and there was no issues with it. So that's the accusation. Whether or not that's, well, it's more than an accusation. Some people think that's definitely what happened. Some people think that's not what happened, including Mansell, or at least that's what he says. But it was terrible anyway. His car switched off about 3 corners before the end of the race. He was 1 minute ahead of Piquet. Good grief. I was so distraught about that. Then I remember the next day being absolutely devastated. 92, Berger in his, he would have been in a McLaren, wouldn't he? Yeah, at that stage. So how many did I do on each? Yes, I've done 14 there. A little bit squashed in, but it's not too bad. Let's scrub those off. So 92. That's the last one that I did. 92. Don't forget 92. 92, 92, 92. 92, which, if my arithmetic is correct, means that the next one is 93. 93. And that was the one and only win by Prost in his dominant Williams year. I didn't enjoy that year at all, even though Damon Hill did well in his first ever season, won 3 races. He was no match for Prost, his teammate. And, you know, I don't know how much Prost's heart was really in it. He'd come back after having been out of it in 92, and he just stepped right back into a completely dominant car. And I found that season very flat and uninteresting. 94 was the start of Schumacher's run in his Benetton, when I think he was at his strongest. Focus. Yeah, I think it was his strongest time when he was in the Benetton. 95. Now this was the interesting one. Alesi, the only Grand Prix win by Jean Alesi. Should have won more races. He only won this race in a Ferrari. He only won it because Schumacher had a problem with his car, with his gearbox, I think. Schumacher ended up 5th, I think, something like that. But so this is one that Alesi should not have won, but there were loads of other races, including a couple of Italian Grand Prix in his Ferrari, that he should have won, but retirement took him out. But this is the one that he shouldn't have won, but did. And it was his only win. 96, we've got Damon Hill in his championship winning year, in his Williams winning. Don't remember much about that race. 97, Schumacher again. Let's take my bangle off. My bangle is causing too much of a disturbance. 97, Schumacher, yeah, I don't remember much about that, I have to say. 98. Schumacher again. Can I fit 99 in? I'm going to go for it. 99 was Hakkinen, Mika Hakkinen, and his McLaren in his second championship winning year. Okay, so we go up to 2000. I hope this is all fitting in neatly. Schumacher again. Oh, he uses up so much space, these Schumacher years. Doing these videos, I always dread the 90s, sort of like the mid-90s to the mid-noughties. I always dread them because I know I've got to fit in lots of Schumachers. And even when Michael Schumacher doesn't win, Ralf Schumacher ends up winning. There you go, Ralf Schumacher. Still another Schumacher, even longer with the R in there. Dear. Yeah, Ralf Schumacher in his Williams. Well done. 2002, Schumacher again. Obviously, this is Michael Schumacher if I don't stipulate anything else. And that's 03, Schumacher again. 04 was Schumacher, 04. What a surprise. He's totally dominant. Well, 02 and 03 were totally dominant. 02 and 04 were totally dominant. Not 03. Serious threat from Raikkonen in that championship. But Schumacher managed to hold him off to win. 05, Raikkonen. Because Raikkonen really threatened Alonso in 05 as well, but didn't manage to win the championship. Okay, I've got loads of space left, haven't I? 06. It's all nicely in focus, isn't it? Oh, don't be so jumpy, don't be so jumpy. Don't be so jumpy. 06, Alonso. Now, I have heard say that the 05 Canadian Grand Prix is the most watched Grand Prix in history. But I'm not certain if that fact is correct. That's just a fact I've seen online. In fact, online it says the most watched Grand Prix in the world. It doesn't say ever. So does that just mean it was the most watched Grand Prix in 2005? Or do they mean ever? And they're just using the word world by mistake. I don't know. 06 was Alonso in his Renault. Okay, so let's scrub. Now, I haven't missed any off, have I? Let me just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. That's correct. So I haven't missed any out. So, 07. Here comes Hamilton. With his first, and hopefully not last, Grand Prix victory. Hopefully not. That was a race where Kubica had a big accident. And that was a massive accident Kubica had. And there was lots of constant safety cars and yellow flags and all sorts of things, and Hamilton managed to hold it together from pole position to the flag through all these constant restarts to win his very first Grand Prix in only about his 5th or 6th Grand Prix. 2008, Kubica. That was a race that should have been won by Hamilton, but Hamilton and Raikkonen collided in the pit lane, amazingly. I think Raikkonen was at the end of the pit lane and Hamilton drove into the back of him. I think that's how I remember it. But goodness knows what happened there. I remember it not being clear whose fault it was at the time, but it may well have been Hamilton's fault, but I don't think it was so clear-cut as that. Anyway, that allowed Kubica in his Sauber to come through and win the race, his only Grand Prix win, because he retired with a big accident in rally driving, wasn't it? I say he retired, he came back in the Williams a few years ago, didn't he? But it's obviously not going to be the same. 2009, Sauber's only win as well to date. BMW Sauber it was called back then. Oh, look at that, look. I've done 2009, but there was no race in 2009. I don't know why, but there was no race in 2009, which interestingly, I read online, 2009 therefore was the first year since 1958 that there wasn't a Grand Prix in North America. 2009, yeah, interesting that, because there was no US Grand Prix. 2010, Hamilton's back with a vengeance. In his McLaren, it would have been, of course. Just getting it into focus again. 2011, we have Button. Now, that was the very exciting Grand Prix. Very exciting race. That was. Button coming from last place. He got his tyre strategy was fortunately played in perfectly. It was a wet race, and he was sliding all over the place in the early part of the race. Hamilton went to overtake him. Button was so slow that Hamilton shot through to overtake him. Button didn't know he was there, moved across on Hamilton, supposedly not realising he was there, and they crashed. Hamilton instantly retired, and Button did not. Button ended up, due to changing tyres and tyre strategy and everything, he ended up at the back of the field. But then, due to how it fell for him with safety cars and the weather, it just played into his hands and he was able to charge through the field. And other people had pit stops as well, which would have elevated him. And he just came through the field, and then he was attacking Vettel towards the end, and Vettel made a mistake. And Button came through and won the race with Vettel second. It was an amazingly exciting race. But as a Hamilton fan, I was irritated by how the accident had happened between Button and Hamilton. Teammates in the McLarens. 2012, Hamilton again. 2013, Sebastian Vettel in his Red Bull. 14, totally dominant Red Bull at the time, Ricciardo in his Red Bull. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so let's go back up here for 15. 2015 was Hamilton again. 2016, Hamilton again. 2017, Hamilton again. 2018, Vettel again in his Ferrari. 2019, Hamilton again. And 2020, of course. No, there was no race in 2020 or 2021 due to COVID. I must have been, I assume. So 2022. Now this is where we do our normal routine and just write Verstappen 3 times over for 2022, 2023, 2024. That seems to have happened on, maybe I'm imagining it, but it seems to happen every time. I just put in 3 Verstappens. Verstappen, Verstappen, Verstappen. Now you're going to have to wait to see who won it in 2024. 28, 29, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, yeah. And also you're not just waiting for 2024's win, because I'm also going to put down who's won the most drivers and teams, basically. So, back up here for 2024. Guess what? I should be putting Norris down, because Norris was way out in front. Way out in front he was. 13 seconds ahead of Verstappen, I think, in second place. And then the red safety car came out, but it came out too late for Button to come into the pits. Button was right by the pit entry, just a couple of seconds before the pit entry on the straight. When the yellow flag came out, it was too late for him to do it, so he had to continue round, whereas everyone else was way behind him, so they were able to come in for their pit stops. And then, of course, Norris got picked up by the safety car, so Norris had to slow down on that lap before he could come into the pits. And it lost him loads of time, but he still finished second. But it's so annoying, second to Verstappen. He should have won by miles that race, Norris. But anyway, there you go. Norris benefited in Miami, so, you know, that's just the way it is. So, as regards number of wins, let's just make sure that's in focus. It's always an eternal problem, that is. We have, it's probably no surprise, we've got Schumacher on 7. Hamilton, probably no surprise there either, on 7. But then we have 2 on 3, and only 2 on 3. That's the next most number of wins, and they are Piquet and, as you know, Verstappen. And as regards the teams, top one, unsurprisingly, Ferrari, with 11 wins. Then we have McLaren with 9 wins, and Williams with 7 wins. Red Bull and Mercedes bringing up the rear there, basically. Oh, look at that, and he just squeezed that in. That was close. That was close. Close run thing there. Okay, so there you have it, and there it is. Hopefully it'll be a good race this weekend. Let's just hope that whoever wins, the main thing is whoever wins deserves to win. That's the main thing. It's the number one thing, that is. Right. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so, or like the video, or comment, or even leave a tip below on the thanks button below the video. And I will see you on the very next video, which will no doubt be the review video of the Canadian Grand Prix, this year's Canadian Grand Prix. Actually, I'm supposed to do a 25 question mark. Okay, so there you go. Let me scrub that out, like so. And goodbye. Thank you for watching. See you next time.